With the news update on WHTC Holland's Cool FM, I'm Gary Stevens. A 25-year-old Hudsonville woman was hospitalized after her motorcycle slammed into an SUV that had slowed for debris on I-196 just west of the Ottawa County line last evening. No names were disclosed by Sheriff Sergeant Chris Armstrong following the incident, which occurred around 6 p.m. Traffic was slowed near the Kennewick Avenue Bridge due to cargo that had fallen off of a rented trailer attached to a vehicle driven by a 39-year-old Elkhart, Indiana man. The SUV, driven by a 42-year-old Walker man with his 38-year-old wife and two girls aged 14 and 6 as passengers, was attempting to get around the situation at slow speed in the left lane. The biker was trailing and failed to slow down enough, rear-ending the larger vehicle. Despite being helmeted, the woman sustained what was described as serious injuries and was taken to an unnamed local hospital for treatment. The family in the SUV was not hurt. The incident remains under investigation. Another new attraction for Holland is coming. At 2 p.m. this afternoon, city officials will join with fellow kids for a ceremonial groundbreaking of a Holland bike park on the northern base of the Unity Bridge, which allows River Avenue to span the Macatawa River. This multi-phase project, at a cost of up to $1.44 million, will provide an outdoor recreation space for riders of all ages and abilities. City Manager Keith Van Beek says that this will fit in with many of the features already in place, which makes the Holland area a hotbed for cycling enthusiasts.
We're looking to always add, amenities and wanted to connect it in a good way to some of the, biking paths that we had already. And this kind of rose to the top as being a great location for it.
This first phase of a 600-foot pump track is expected to be ready by the end of the summer. An historic lighthouse in Grand Haven is getting a $60,000 grant for interior renovations. The city and Grand Haven Lighthouse Conservancy are working to restore the inside of the Grand Haven entrance light, one of two lighthouses on the South Pier. The work includes replacing doors, restoring floors, and installing new interior walls. The money comes from the Michigan Lighthouse Assistance Program and is funded through the Save Our Lights specialty license plates offered through the Secretary of State's office. The United Auto Workers Union and American Axle are heading back to the bargaining table today amid a strike.
UAW Local 2093 has been off the job in Three Rivers since 12 a.m. Monday, saying the company has not made good on its promises to restore the 50% pay cut that employees agreed to in 2008 during the Great Recession. Union also wants better retirement benefits and help with rising out-of-pocket health care costs. Contract talks are the first since the strike began. I'm Michael Arney.
An effort to bring the world of aviation to youngsters along the lakeshore takes place tomorrow morning. From 8 a.m. to 12 noon, the annual Dawn Patrol event takes place at Grand Haven Memorial Air Park off of Comstock Street. It's an open house with a pancake breakfast, a silent auction, live music, and more, with a handheld comm radio giveaway for one person who flies into the facility. The event is sponsored by FlightPath, a nonprofit whose mission is to introduce young people to the excitement of aviation. It's based out of West Michigan Regional Airport, and Matt Nyans, who is just completing his first year as the facilities manager, has been impressed by what the charity has done.
There's kids that come over to this completely free program, pilots, air traffic controllers, and all these other aviation professionals donate their time to put on this program that gives kids an hour of history into aviation. Then it gives you an hour tour at the airport where you go around, see some of the cool jets, the maintenance shop, see some aircraft they're working on. And then you also get an hour of sim time.
Tickets for the Dawn Patrol event in Grand Haven is $10, with kids 5 and under paying $5, and can be purchased at the door or through an online link in the story at WHTC.com. The name may say Lake Michigan, but in reality, it's an inland sea. That's a premise behind a safety at sea exercise for the public at the Macatawa Bay Yacht Club off of South Shore Drive in Park Township tomorrow. Various law enforcement entities are joining together in this 9-hour comprehensive training session aimed at providing sailors, cruisers, and offshore racers of all experience levels knowledge and practical skills needed to confidently manage emergencies on the water. Sergeant Chris Ruhr, head of the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office Marine Unit, says that having the proper equipment on hand will augment some of the lessons which will be passed on during this exercise.
There are some people that do that, don't check their boat and make sure everything is operational. It was operational when we put it away, so it should be now. That's not always the case. Obviously, after something sits for 8-9 months, you probably want to have that gone through and make sure everything is tip-top and running like it should. And not everybody does that.
The cost for the Safety at Sea session is $395, with on-site registration beginning at 7:30 a.m. Retired Muskegon Township Fire Department Captain Brian Fethke has died just days after leaving the job. He retired on Monday after a 30-year career, and the Muskegon Township Fire Department posted news of his death on Facebook yesterday. Fethke's cause of death not immediately disclosed. Comstock Township will have to pay sacked Superintendent Scott Hess over $340,000 after he was let go by a 4-3 vote of the Township Board on Monday night. Supervisor Ben Martin says a special meeting of the Township Board needed to be held to approve the payout, but a couple of scheduled meetings have been canceled due to a lack of a quorum. Now, the board is not required to hire a new superintendent, and Martin says the position could stay vacant indefinitely. The Michigan Gun Violence Prevention Task Force has been retooled with an executive order by Governor Whitmer that was signed in Kalamazoo yesterday afternoon. Whitmer also declared June as Gun Safety Awareness Month in Michigan, saying the task force's next phase of work will be to emphasize public education, tracking the effectiveness of gun violence prevention policies, and coordination among state agencies.
So we've set a national example for what is possible when we focus on compassion, honor our commitment, and keep up our courage. This Gun Violence Awareness Month, we can't afford to do anything less. Every shooting, every life lost, every community grieving demands not just our attention, but our action. We've got to turn our pain into purpose and continue this fight.
The task force, first established a couple of years ago, operates through the State Department of Health and Human Services and includes law enforcement officials, public health experts, educators, and community leaders. The governor is also getting plenty of criticism online for taking part in the groundbreaking of a new, huge artificial intelligence data center in Washtenaw County earlier this week. She says she understands people are concerned about AI and the impact of data centers on the environment and people's jobs, but counters that developers have pledged to use union labor for the construction. It'll have a closed-loop water system and with provisions to prevent the project from increasing utility costs. Whitmer says the project is holding high Pure Michigan standards, and the project will provide a $300 million benefit to nearby DTE Energy customers and be a model for other states. Meanwhile, State Senator Jim Runstad is proposing a one-year moratorium on all data centers in Michigan to give lawmakers and business leaders time to better understand the impacts of these centers. The chairman of the Michigan Republican Party introduced 3 bills with fellow GOP Senator Ruth Johnson of Holly as a co-sponsor earlier this week. The bills say the pause will be to allow for the gathering of data and potential utility rate hikes, environmental harms, and other consequences. Runstad is also concerned about the loss of farmland from data center projects. The Department of Homeland Security is ready for the Gordie Howe International Bridge in Detroit to open. Customs and Border Protection staff are trained and ready to move to the span when negotiations between Ottawa and Washington are finished. A final sign-off from the contractor needs to take place as well. The Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority has not set an exact opening date. Idle last night, the Tigers entertained the Seattle Mariners at Comerica Park in Detroit this evening, with coverage from Dan Dickerson at 6:15 p.m. on WHTC Holland's Cool FM. Pete Crow Armstrong's RBI single capped a 4-run ninth-inning rally as the Cubs upended the visiting Athletics last night 7-6.
We've done it a lot over the last couple of years. I feel like finish games in the bottom of the ninth. So, yeah, whenever you get to run and jump around like little kids it's always a blast.
Chicago hosts the San Francisco Giants at Wrigley Field this afternoon. Idle last night, the Chicago White Sox faced the Phillies in Philadelphia this evening. Kien Vu's 2-run homer in the 8th inning proved to be decisive as the visiting Dayton Dragons held off the West Michigan Whitecaps last night 4-3. The series at LMCU Ballpark in Comstock Park continues this evening. Get the latest news anytime at WHTC.com.